This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Mr. Mayor, Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, family of the graduates, students, friends of Trinity visitors, welcome to this long-awaited occasion. May God be praised. We are gathered to celebrate the goodness of God in bringing this group of 32 students to the completion of their Trinity education. This is an occasion to stop, pause, and give thanks. We will pray, we'll sing, we'll reflect on what this class has done, and we will give you, graduates, a visible token of the invisible good that you take from this place. We will tell you how much we love you, and we will send you off with our prayers for your every happiness and success. May God be praised. And now, one of our seniors, Elisa Davis, will lead us in our opening prayer.
Please pray along with me. Father God, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings you have given us. Today, as we celebrate moving forward in our lives, let us not forget that all of it would not be possible without you. We find comfort in knowing that you, Lord God, watch over us, and that your love for us is never-ending. We thank you for the friendships that have grown, teachers who helped us, and all memories that we made these past years. As we progress and become older, let us not forget that whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for you and the gospel will save it. Remind us continually to follow you, Lord God, no matter how hard life gets or how difficult you feel. Know that we have you, and your constant presence will bring us relief. We love you, and we thank you, and we hope that you keep blessing us on this wonderful journey called life. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please rise for our opening hymn. Please be seated. It's our tradition at graduation to have 3 different grades read scripture to us, beginning with first graders. We have 2 this year who will read to us from Psalm 1, followed by the president of our middle school, an 8th grader, and then later in the service, we have the incoming president of our upper school, who will read to us from the 3rd passage. So I'd like to ask our readers to come up now.
Reading from Psalms 1. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on this law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither, whichever they do prospers. Not so the wicked, they are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
But whatever were gained to me, I now consider loss for the sake of Christ. What is more, I consider everything a loss, because of the surpassing worth of knowing Jesus Christ, my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage, that I may gain Christ and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, but that which is through faith in Christ, the righteousness that comes from God, on the basis of faith. I want to know Christ, yes, to know the power of his resurrection and participation in his suffering, becoming like him in his death, and so somehow attaining to the resurrection from the dead.
It is Trinity's tradition to hear from 2 seniors at graduation, one selected by the senior class and the other by the upper school faculty. Speaking on behalf of the class of 2019 today are Ian Paul and Sonia Reno.
Last year, on an almost exactly this very day, I didn't have a ride to graduation. I didn't have a driver's license, and I still don't, I'm sorry. And all of the people who usually gave me a ride were busy or unable to pick me up in time. But the people I loved were walking across the very stage that I stand on now. I wasn't going to miss it for the world. So, it was an hour and a half until the start time, and reasoning that the distance wasn't that hard, I made a decision. I walked. I don't live that far from Trinity, so it wasn't an impossible journey to make. And I'd walked home from school before, so I knew I would get there with plenty of time to spare. But it was June 1st, it was hot, I hadn't eaten breakfast, and I was tired. So it will not surprise you that disaster struck. They tell you that quicksand is not a problem you will deal with outside of movies and television shows. I'm here to tell you, they're wrong. 5 minutes later, I find myself sitting on the side of the road, crying just a little bit, waiting for a friend who saved me by answering my frantic texts. She was covered in mud, and wondering if my reckless but loyal decision was worth it. And if you were at last year's graduation and wondering whose wet sneakers are out there drying by the summer sun, those were mine. Sorry about that. I tell you this story, not not because it's glamorous or brave or honorable. Far from it. I tell you this story because it tells you what I want you to know about me. I make a lot of stupid, but heartfelt decisions. I'm an artist, I'm a mathematician, a poet, a writer, but first and foremost, I'm a storyteller at heart. And being at Trinity has taught me that to really get to know someone, you have to know their stories. Coming to Trinity at the beginning of ninth grade was, to say the least, terrifying. It was a new school, full of strangers who had known each other for their whole lives and only knew me for a fraction of that. On the bus for the freshman class trip, I made up futures for each of my unfamiliar classmates, proposing destinies in my head to people I just met. This guy looks like he'd be a good stay-at-home dad. This girl looks like she'd take over the world. It didn't take very long for my shallow daydreams to melt away. Every person I talked to, every student I got to know were so much more deeper than what I imagined them to be. And after 4 years, those stories have only ever grown. I know that Emily will always send me conspiracy videos at 3 a.m. when she knows I'm going to be up. And I know that Catherine will always appreciate any cat photo you show her. I know that Ariana loves the other Ariana stay single. And I know that Hiyab and Ian will always tease her for it. I know that our class has never missed an opportunity to break it down from the back row of worship, and will sometimes even run to the stage and lead us all in a rousing chorus of every praise to our God. These are small things, yes, but they bring about beautiful points in the 4-year painting that has been our high school careers. They tell our tales. Stories are at the core of who we are as people. Jesus taught in parables, not because he wanted to sound super cool or creative, but because stories are how we understand life's lessons. We break our bones, we show our worth, we go through life in stories. The class that sits before you is a mosaic of the most wonderful, heartbreaking, tear-jerking, crazy, hilarious, colorful bundle of stories that I've had the pleasure of knowing. This day is going to be all about them. So I invite you all to indulge yourselves for just a moment and listen to their stories. When you hear Hope talk about art, let yourself be moved by the warmth and love in her words. When you watch Noah on the court, or get the exciting opportunity to see Marcota's act, watch how they move as if they were born to play a role. God's light shines brightest through each and every story these graduates tell. And to my fellow classmates, I will say to you, nothing has been more moving than to be surrounded by your stories these past 4 years. I will never know all of them, but I am privileged to be able to know some. I know that there are parts of my story that you will always have with you, and there are parts of your stories that will always carry with me. We have reflected each other in the mosaics we carry around us. There's always an ending to the stories that we tell. I got to graduation in the end. Muddy shoes and all. The cast takes a bow. We will walk across the stage. Books, movies, TV shows, dreams, these will all have endings. But we do not read a novel just to see how it ends. We do not watch a musical just to see the grand finale. We experience stories because they are meant to be experienced. We tell our stories because in the process, we become them. Each and every one of you has an infinite amount of stories waiting to be told. We may spend our whole lives never uttering a single one. So I tell you this. Tell your stories. But more importantly, become them.
Class of 2019. It has been quite a journey. It seems like it was only yesterday when we had a sophomore class trip, scrambling down Hanging Rock after the thunderstorm, running probably the fastest I think any of us run for something school related. Or at the senior class trip, when we all looked at each other with confusion, disbelief, and horror when Mr. Bridges told us and asked us to watch each other speak. And props to you, we did that like not. We've seen many teachers and students come and go and taken many different classes. In these classes, we laughed when Mr. Bauer would tell us to stop dyeing our hair when we had a question on. Or felt sad when we got our lab reports back about the sunset and chemistry, seeing that infamous word jargon written on at least 5 different times. Or we'd even feel accomplished when we got Mr. Bridges so off topic during class that we spent the whole class talking about Netflix shows instead of the book we were reading. The journey through high school was not an easy one. It was full of twists and turns, ups and downs, and my favorite in Miss Thomas's class, highs and lows, but I can proudly say that we made it. Whether we have been at Trinity for 2 years or 14 years, we are closing the first chapter of our lives. And I am up here trying to share a little bit about the amazing, incredible people who make up the class of 2019, or as we like to call ourselves, the Forgotten Class. The Forgotten Class, a name coined by the one and only Hannah Stepp, can be traced back to many different events, junior day, or stories where people forgot about certain events for a grade, or think that each of us were in some other class. In a sense, there was no class of 2019. However, being forgotten helped us bond as a class and grow as individuals. Being forgotten taught us to advocate for ourselves, as evident in our booing of Mr. Dix during Civil War class when he did something we don't like. Jokes aside, we've advocated for change, whether it be the dress code or against discriminatory behavior in our classes and outside. And we are not afraid to stand up for what we believe is right. Being forgotten allowed us to be ourselves and pursue our specific passions, whether it is a love of newspaper writing, or a love of playing the upright bass, or a love of swimming. Although we are a small class, with even a smaller amount of guys, 9 to be precise, we are talented in so many unique ways. We have incredible leaders, athletes, scholars, artists, musicians, actors, fashion designers, engineers, cooks, writers, poets, singers, dancers, social justice activists, rappers, and so much more that it's hard to believe we were ever even forgotten. By being ourselves and embracing our own lifestyles, we have inspired many people using our gifts. As a desire to teach and mentor the next generation is evident through many of our capstones, including teaching our kids sports, or engineering, or coding, or even writing a book for young girls about body image. We are a class who is willing to use our passions and gifts to inspire others, ensuring that the next class will not be forgotten, and I am so proud to be in this same graduating class. Class of 2019. As we head off in many different directions, remember the powerful lessons we have learned throughout high school, such as try to do your work in advance, participate in activities that you want to do, ignore Dr. Utes when he says to put away your phones during open period, and most importantly, juniors, you know this especially, don't take our parking spaces. Remember to be yourself, because God has given each and every one of you incredible talents, and I have a whole gym of people who will tell you that. And the biggest mistake you can make is to try to be someone you're not. You are all incredible people. Finally, remember to thank the Lord for all the incredible gifts He has given you, and that school verse we picked during the fall, which reads Mark 8:35-36, which reads, "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul?" Class of 2019. It has been an honor to spend from 2 to 13 years with each and every one of you, and while we may have been temporarily forgotten, we will always be remembered as the Trinity School of Durham and Chapel Hill graduating class of 2019. Thank you.
that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and after 3 days rise again. He spoke plainly about this, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. "Get behind me, Satan," he said. "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them, and when he comes in the Father's glory with the holy angels." The word of the Lord.
Thank you, Jarrett. And thank you, Bo and Lathan, for reading from Psalm 1, and Taylor Beth from Philippians 3. It's wonderful to see that arc of Trinity education across these years, and these students have come so far. Some of them have joined us more recently, and some of them have been with us since kindergarten or TK, transitional kindergarten. And we celebrate all of you, class of 2019. Congratulations, you have made it across the finish line. Well, almost, as soon as you cross this stage. In just a minute. First, you have to listen to me for just a few more minutes. God's word is like a boomerang. Sometimes you throw it out and watch out, it comes right back at you. You seniors threw a boomerang right out into the middle of the Trinity community last August. You remember this, right? You brought us the verse that's hanging right up there on the wall from Mark 8 that Jared just read. So watch out, coming right back at you. What good is it for a Trinity graduate to gain the whole world and yet forfeit their soul? It's not hard for us to imagine you gaining the whole world. You're a remarkable class, gifted in diverse ways. We fully expect that you will publish books, hold your own exhibitions at art galleries, play in first-class jazz bands, argue cases before high courts of the land, become STEM teachers, travel the world, win basketball championships, design new lines of clothing, record your own music, serve as nurses and doctors, win the prize at spoken word festivals, create your own cookbooks, serve on the boards of nonprofits to do justice, start your own medical practice, serve as missionaries, become an editor of some prominent publication, take your company public, and on and on. We loved and laughed at the superlatives that you gave yourselves in the yearbook. Well done, yearbook staff, by the way. Excellent yearbook this year. So here are Jesus' sage words back at you like a boomerang fashioned from your own imaginations. What does it profit someone to own Starbucks, marry a rock star, become a SunCloud rapper, create a successful video game, have your own reality show, be a soccer mom, or own 100 cats? What does all that and more profit you if you lose your soul along the way? Your lives are going to be a series of trade-offs. This is the way life goes. You've already experienced some of this in your college selection, right? And these things add up. They start small, but they go. And many mickle makes a muckle, as the Scots like to say. A little bit here and a little bit there, and pretty soon you've got some complicated decisions on your hand. Trade-offs like a little less money for a job that you like more, or a big raise for a move you aren't sure about, or the power and influence of public office for the loss of much of your privacy and independence. Your family life for your job, or your marriage for career advancement. The list goes on, and there's no clear formula or handbook for a lot of these trade-offs. You'll have to figure this out as you go with the people in your lives who matter the most. But there is one trade-off that Jesus is telling you clearly not to make. Don't trade your soul for the whole world. So it's all about the soul, about the soul, about the soul. You are a soul made by God, made for God, made to need God. That's Dallas Willard. I'm going to give it to you one more time. You are a soul made by God, made for God, made to need God. Comes straight from the scriptures. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul. You were made to need God, and that part of you that needs God most deeply is your soul. What kind of need is this soul need for God? I think it's a need primarily, fundamentally, at rock bottom, simply to enjoy God. I think the old catechism got it right. What is the chief end of humanity? Answer, to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. And what does it mean to enjoy God and thus feed and honor your own souls? Well, I want to point you to an old distinction that's been helpful to me between using something and enjoying it. That's Augustine. To use something is to leverage it to get something else. To enjoy it is to cling to it for its own good and for its own sake. With apologies to the math department, let me try an illustration. If we study geometry because we think it will make us better architects or engineers, and it will, then we're using geometry for something else. But if we study geometry also for the sheer wonder of being able to write QED at the end of a proof and stand back in awe at the certainty and the beauty and the elegance of that proof, then, well, we are enjoying geometry for its own sake and not merely using it. So here's the thing. The better a thing is, the more worthy it is of enjoyment. And the less appropriate it is simply to use that thing. There's nothing wrong with using geometry to build a bridge, especially if that's your job. But there are some things in this world, and there is one thing outside of this world, where enjoying is better than using. And I want to mention two of those, and then close with the best of all. So one of these things to be enjoyed, and not merely used, is an education. There's a great gulf of difference between enjoying learning and using your education for something else. The latter's not bad, it is in fact quite necessary. But those who learn the former have chosen the better part. I hope that somewhere along the way of your Trinity education you've gotten a glimpse of this. I'm talking about learning for the joy of learning rather than simply to get the grade or finish the assignment or get into the college. It's one of the reasons why we read aloud to you when you were in lower school. Do any of you remember any of the books that your third grade teacher read to you? I'm seeing some heads nod. Yeah. And the reason they read is because they knew that that was good for your soul, to just simply enjoy that book and take it in and keep it forever. It's one of the reasons we do winter for the sheer joy of learning. Do you remember some of your winter classes and things that you learned there? And it's one of the reasons we aim for an unhurried education, because we want you to have time to explore your questions, because the woods of learning are lovely, dark, and deep. Learning is valuable not just because it gets you something else, but because it is, to you who bear the image of God, a glorious thing in and of itself. So that's one thing that it's good not only to use, but also to enjoy. Here's something else. You, class of 2015, that's what people are for. Not simply to be used, but to be enjoyed. I pray that we, your teachers, have learned not simply to use you, class of 2019, and I will say that would be easy enough with all your intellect, artistic creativity, musical ability, athletic prowess, diversity, accomplishments, all of that will burnish the school's reputation and make our profile stronger. And all that's good, but I pray that we have learned to enjoy you for who you are, to savor God's goodness in you. I think we all had a corporate moment of a glimpse of that kind of delight when we arrived on campus last Thursday to find your cars parked blocking the parking lots and you out there dancing to the electric slide and YMCA. Noah, that image, it's going to be seared on my mind for the rest of my life. You dancing out there. The looks I saw on your teachers' faces made my heart glad. And methinks I heard Mr. Jones utter under his breath, "Oh, brave new world that has such creatures in it." Creatures with Brandon's chill, with Katie Blair's cooking skills, Julia's dragon fire energy, with Emily's love for Josh Groban, with Alyssa's confident smile that lights up the room, with Caroline's intellectual artistry, Noah's cheerful handshakes all around, Ashton's entrepreneurial spirit, Natalie's dogged determinism and her goal in the playoffs, Lily's delightful love of grammar and usage and the way she used that for others, Emmy's hand motions, Ian's clarinet solos, Marcotis's spontaneous dart up on stage to dance during worship. I saw that. Cameron's love for traveling the world, Danny's resilient rehabbing and loyalty to the team, Holly's honesty and astute insight, and your costumes, Kamisi's beats, Dane's style, Pedro's helpful dependability and patience, Daji's closing worship talk, Ariana's keyboard boldness, Madeline's shining smile, Hope's infectious creativity, Katie Peel's peacemaking empathy, Sonia's poetry, Annabelle's encouragement, Hannah's confident leadership, Caroline's incisive questions in class, Catherine's art and athleticism, Liz's calligraphy, Abby's perseverance, Hiob's bass. What a delight, and that is just scratching the surface. Class of 2019, you have made us laugh and smile and give thanks to God that the world is full of such creatures as yourselves. We'll be forever grateful for the joy of knowing and loving and teaching you. And in this same spirit of enjoyment of people in our lives, I want to ask you now to reach under your seat and take the letter which you have written to your parents. In just a minute, I'm going to ask you to go find them and deliver that with the flowers. My prayer is that you'll be doing more, not less, but more than just saying thanks for paying for my Trinity education. I hope you will also be saying, thanks, Mom and Dad, I love you. It's a joy to be your son or your daughter. Go find them. And do come back. I've saved the best for last. I want to come back to the idea of enjoying God. I've said already that I think this enjoyment of God is at the heart of what Jesus meant when he told you to tend to your soul. What your soul needs, just as the body needs food and water, is to enjoy God for God's own sake. Not to use God to get something else, but to see that God is simply enough, really more than enough. I think you saw yesterday in the closing chapel how my grandson sneaked up on me. That was not scripted. For those of you that weren't here, I was up here watching the screen over here, waiting for the slideshow to come up, and then all of a sudden I looked and there he was. I was surprised. I knew my wife was bringing him to the final chapel, the end, so he could see Leo the lion. That's what he was looking for. And I was a little flustered, but honestly, I was also so incredibly glad when I saw him. He was looking for Leo, but I think maybe he was looking for me too. And I took him and put him on my lap. And do you believe, can you believe, class of 2019, that God looks at you that way? That he longs for you to run up to him, that he delights to take you in his arms and hold you? Do you believe that your true joy is in enjoying God enjoying you? Do you believe that your true joy is in enjoying God enjoying you? That is the center of the gospel, and it's the gospel truth, and I pray that you can believe it and take it with you when you go. So now it's time for you to go, and you go to gain the world, and in a way you will, and we've prepared you for this. You've worked hard, so take the job, earn the degree, accept the award, accomplish the goal, make the money, start the family, live your dream. But be forewarned to be careful about your trade-offs. I give them my heart, but they wanted my soul. That's Bob Dylan. And they do. They will. All those good things will want your soul. And you will be sorely tempted to make that trade. Don't do it. Learn to use those things well and not give your souls to them. Don't think that they will feed the need of your soul, for they will not. And know, too, as Jesus told us in this passage, that there is a cross along the path. You will have to crucify your love for some of those things, some of those good things, not just the bad things in our lives, but the good things, to put God in that place of highest praise and glory in our lives. To say yes to him and find yourself secure in his lap of mercy and love. Remember what the Apostle Paul said in the passage that Taylor Beth read to us. Whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss for the sake of knowing Christ. And what is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. So, back at you one more time. Watch out. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. Let the one who has ears use them. We love you, class of 2019. You've been a joy. Go now in God's love and stay in God's love.
Our graduates received 2 diplomas here at Trinity. One is suitable for framing, and the other is affixed inside a Bible. It is our hope that our graduates will keep this Trinity School Bible for a very long time. With this remembrance of their time, their relationships, their accomplishments here, and may the Word of God dwell richly in them forever. Mr. Merritt and the Board of Trustees, on behalf of the faculty of Trinity School, it is my privilege and honor to present you these graduates. They have successfully completed their course of study here at Trinity.
Brendan Devon Arnold. Catherine Elise Blair. Julia Hoffman Broughton. Emily Ann Celeste. Elisa Davis. Caroline Emma Deere. Noah Nicholas Dinkins. Ashton Lee Edwards. Natalie Brennan Epps. Lily Helen Louise Gardner. Emily Ruth Griffith. Ian David Tanaka Hall. Marcotis Dwayne Hall II. Cameron Elena Hemerick. Daniela Hernandez Rodriguez. Holly Elizabeth Hutchison. Kamisi Faison Jackson. Dane Scott Catile. Pedro Samuel Lopez. Daji Sabri Lamore. Ariana Motamedi. Madeline Endries Mueller. Hope Renee Muter. Catherine Elizabeth Peel. Sonia Josephine Rayner. Annabelle Elizabeth Smith. Hannah Elizabeth Stepp. Caroline Elise Willingham. Catherine Reed Yarborough. Elizabeth Wei Ping Yi. Abigail Elizabeth Young. Hiyad Zarasanai. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the graduates of 2019.
Congratulations, graduates. Now Charlie Peel, one of our alums, will come and welcome you into the Trinity Alumni Association. We're wasting no time on that. Come on, Charlie.
Good morning. My name is Charlie Peel, and I graduated from Trinity in 2017. I'll begin my junior year at the University of Tennessee, and I'll be working on a degree towards Spanish and biology. I'm so excited to officially recognize that you are now a Trinity alum. You did it. After years of hard work, late nights, dedication, and commitment, you've crossed the finish line and you're done. As you get ready for the next phase of your life, know that it's not just you against the world. You are now one of more than 305 Lions across the world making a difference in their schools, professions, churches, and communities. We hope you'll come back to campus often, stay connected with each other and other alums, and find ways to continue your involvement here at Trinity. You will always be known and loved and welcomed here. And now, as you move your tassel from the right side of your cap to the left, it is my distinct honor to welcome each and one of you to the Trinity School Alumni Association. Congratulations.
Welcome. It's our tradition to close out with a prayer led by a faculty member, Ellen Van Tongeren, our Director of Spiritual Life, and one of the graduates, Daji Lamore. So if you all will come forward and lead us in our closing prayer.
Please join us in prayer. Loving God, who never fails from age to age, who does all things well, and who dwells in us through your Holy Spirit, we give you thanks and praise for the gifts these students are and the gifts they have shared on fields and stages, in labs and pools, in classrooms and hallways, in speeches and songs, in friendships and studies. Because of their presence, work, and creativity, Trinity and this world is a better place. As they take new paths, cause their souls to thirst for you, and their hearts to delight in you, in your word, and in your ways. Let them find that nothing is better than knowing you. Give them the courage to share in Jesus' suffering and be like him in his death, forgiving and faithful. knowing that you will lead them all the way to life in the fullness of your presence on the day Jesus returns.
Lord God, we come to you to thank you and give you praise for what has transpired here today. We thank you for guiding the future of Trinity School and ask that you continue to lead it for your name and for your glory. We ask that from the youngest students to the faculty and administration, each person will willingly lose themselves for you and the sake of the gospel. And that this community will become better because of this. Lord, we ask that you not just let this be a school, but a home, a family, a place of acceptance with love and respect for everyone. We ask that you make our hearts like yours, so we are willing to serve and not just gain. We ask that you purify our hearts and cause us to delight in your word. Have your way in this school, and help it to be a community that continually praises your name and lives out the truth of the gospel. Non nobis Domine. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
And now, Amy Griffith, our seniors, will come up and lead us in our school song, Non Nobis Domine. Not to us, Lord, not to us, but to your name be the glory. Would you please stand and sing together? Please be seated. In just a minute, our seniors will recess out. I'm going to ask our assistant head of school, Mason Goss, to come up and deliver the benediction. As Mason is coming up, just instructions. We will all stay seated and wait until the graduates have recessed out. And then when the last graduate is out, Mason will dismiss the rest of us. I know that you're going to want to get outside and watch the hat toss out by the wall. So make your way out there. We'll wait, parents, but don't be too slow. Make your way out there. And there's also a reception in the hub. Thank you for coming. May God be praised. Mason will bring us the benediction.
Before I do, I want to say congratulations, class of 2019. Godspeed to all of you. Now, in the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.